Reet. Had your gobs. Public service announcement from Fatster's economy lad. All the crap coming is Reet. But didn't ask when war slugs and Dan or a couple of doylums that can't use the netty proper, let alone find their arse from their elbow. So gan canny. All the pictures taxed them from all hour. So cheers to all the hinnies who hide them out there. So all canny here over the dirt. So if you didn't like it, like me granny used to say, it's nice to be nice. If you can't be nice, fuck off. Didn't let the bairns listen to this unless you want them to go and proper rage and mental. Reet man, pet man. This is one of them D as I say, not as I D moments. If ye want to copy us, didn't come running to us after with a broken leg. Cheers, bairns. Gan canny.
Shall we intro it now and hope that he just comes in?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. I'm Dan Watson.
I'm Paul Sloggett. We're back. Welcome to the dirt.
Welcome to the dirt indeed. Ladies and gents, tonight, at some point very soon, we'll be joined by the Steesmeister, the king of style, Mr. AJ Lawson. Apparently he's getting set up at the moment. I don't know if that means getting fluffed or what.
I think it's time zone issues, isn't it?
Time zone. Don't talk to me about time zone issues. But yeah, I've word that he's getting set up on his computer as we speak, so he'll join us any moment.
And until that time, you get just to listen to us, pair of douchebags.
That's it. How are you this week, Sloggett? All right?
I'm all right, man. I've recovered now. I'm actually thinking about riding my board again after our little holiday. I wasn't interested at all last week. I was fucked.
Yeah, I got to say, me too. I mean, I couldn't, even if I was motivated to get on it, I couldn't have done. My back was so rinsed after a night on the sofa with sweet Priscilla.
It was a great time, but it took it out of me.
Yeah,
like riding like, every day for 9 days, and like riding like a lot of different terrain. It was hard work at our age. It really was. And although I didn't get injured, I was just aching like all last week. Just my knees had gone, my neck was stiff. It's eased up a bit now. So I've charged the board ready to go out at some point this week. There's a Pentilly Castle.
Is that in Plymouth, is it?
No, it's just outside Soash, but I'd forgotten all about it. And I'd only been there as a child, but they've got a load of woods around there. But on the way back from work, a Land Rover pulled out in front of me, and it had the Pentilly Castle wedding venue, like tyre thing on the back, the tyre cover. So I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot about that place. So I Googled it as soon as I got home, checked out on maps. There's a nice bit of woodland around it. So I'm going to check that out at some point this week.
Good on it. I had a look at a woodland earlier on this week on the weekend with the kids on a dog walk, Pendarvis Wood, over near Red Roof. Weren't up to much. It was too overgrown. It was very pretty, but it weren't no exciting ride or anything there, unfortunately. On to the next one. Go and see what's
out there. Just got to sniff them out.
So, what have you seen on the socials this week that's been floating your boat, Sloggett?
I don't know, really.
Monkeys and frogs.
I watch it, like it, and then completely forget about it because I'm brain dead.
Oh, man.
Let's have a think.
See, this is what we're fighting as editors of cool shit. We are fighting against the Sloggetts of the world. What have you seen over the? It's like asking my kid when they get home from school.
What did you do?
Hey, how did your day go? Yeah. And what did you do? What did you learn today that you didn't know yesterday? We did lunch. What did you have for lunch? I don't know.
I couldn't tell you what I had for lunch today. Not without really thinking about it and possibly going downstairs and asking Claire what she packed in my packed lunchbox.
Oh, for goodness sake.
I don't know. I mean,
Well, let me run down for you. Let me have a quick little rundown for you of the week's socials, because we're going to be 2 weeks behind. So this will be old news by the time this comes out.
I'll probably remember as soon as you tell me.
Mwanga Atahu.
Happy birthday. Happy
Happy
second birthday.
2 years old. Mountain Board Centre in New Zealand. Congratulations, guys, for keeping that going. Lockdown baby, I think they call that. Was gifted it by the local council and has saw fit to go about. It reminds me a little bit of Knockhill, built on an old landfill site.
All right.
So nothing can be dug into the ground by the looks of things.
It's all built on top of it.
All built on top of it. There's even a tractor tyre for Jib in there.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, there is.
Oh,
well, in the room.
Enough of our old shit.
That's it.
Here's the main player.
What's up, guys? Sorry for the delay.
Don't worry, dude. Don't worry.
No worries,
We're just
man.
chatting shit.
Yeah. How are y'all?
Very
good, man. How are you?
I'm good.
It has been many years, AJ, many years, and thank you so much for coming on and sort of agreeing to give up a bit of your time. I understand you're still pretty busy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I mean, it's cool what you guys are doing. You know,
we try.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's awesome. It seems you're putting out a lot of stuff. It's really hard to consistently put anything out like this. So it's cool that you always are putting something out.
Well, we had a little holiday last week, just because going doing a bit of a filming trip. But that's all for the greater good, because it'll be coming out with Under the Dirt and Tramper guys. So that's all cushy. We're looking forward to that. But yeah, tonight's not about us, dude. It's kind of about you.
Okay.
It's not kind of about you.
yeah. The episode 20, whatever.
Right.
Dan and Slogs again, maybe with a little bit of AJ.
So AJ,
Okay.
where are you at the moment? Where are you in the US?
I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Where the good stuff is.
Where the good stuff, yeah.
Is that your home where you're from originally, AJ?
No, I grew up in West Virginia, which is on the East Coast. It's kind of near like Washington, D.C. Yeah.
Fair enough. And so you'd have originally sort of been running maybe with the Hillbilly crew back in the day and stuff like that?
Yeah, a little bit. So do you know Brian from Hillbilly?
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah. Well, they were pretty far from me. They were in Georgia. So I used to fly down there. It's like a 2 or 3 hour flight. So it's about that far away, I guess.
Rah.
Yeah. And from DC. And but Brian was really cool. Ted was really cool as well. And Brian, like, I rode for Hillbilly, so he hooked me up and all that stuff. But
well, hopefully we'll get into that a little bit, delve a little bit of that into that a bit deeper as we go through. But yeah, I don't know. It seems you've grown up so much since I last see you and talked to you in well, not even in the flesh now. I mean, you certainly had way more hair on your head. Not that you're getting like me and him though yet. But, but I think it was way down here last time.
Oh yeah.
Properly.
Yeah.
So look, as we're rolling now, we might as well just jump straight into it. And if you wouldn't mind, please indulge us with a little bit of your past as to how you found mountain boarding and come across it and where that took you really over. I suppose you've been early 2000s, were you, or were you pre-2000 getting on the board?
Probably early 2000. I want to say it was like 2001 or 2 or something like that. I can't remember. I found mountain boarding. So there was West Virginia is not like a big place for action sports. I mean, maybe a little more now because mountain biking has gotten really big there. So they've had like some really big mountain biking events, but even beyond that, there weren't like any skate parks. I liked snowboarding, but I only went snowboarding maybe like once a year, And but there was this store in the mall that carried everything. Like they had surf skate stuff. They had a lot of surf clothes, which is weird because it's not close to the ocean at all, but it was like I don't know if you have this in the UK, but like PacSun or Zoomies or something like that.
Right.
It's like a mall store that carries like skate clothes or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that.
We have a few variants of stuff like that will.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Cornish versions. We got Trago Mills down there, haven't we?
Okay. Yeah. So it was a place like that, and they started carrying mountain boards, and they had like a video of people riding mountain boards from MBS, and I saw that, and I was like, that looks really sick, and that kind of looks like skating and snowboarding, but maybe I could do that here, and I got a board. I got an MBS Cricket.
Nice.
So how old were you? So a Cricket was tiny, wasn't it? So you must have been a nipper.
I was probably like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So I think I was a little I was kind of right on the cusp of that board or whatever.
Yeah. And were you the only person with a board then? Did I assume if you've seen it in a shop, you've not seen other kids on a board near you?
Yeah, no. I mean, there weren't many people that like skated or anything like that. So I was like kind of already, if I started skating or snowboarding, I was the only person that did that where I lived, So I think I might have seen mountain on TV because there used to be, I would try to watch every action sports TV show that came out. So I probably saw it there too. So then when I saw it in the shop, I was like, oh, cool, we have those here now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a board and just rode it around my neighborhood for a while, and I was the only one, and I would I don't know. I'd watch the video
just pushing it and finding little slopes or what?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I live kind of in a rural wooded area with, trails, I guess, hiking trails. So I would just go and ride stuff like that, or like ride on the road, because a lot of people were like carving down. They were like in San Francisco, but like carving down roads and stuff. So I thought, oh, I could do that. And then I saw them at a BMX track, and there was a BMX track like a half hour from where I live, and I started riding it there. And that's when I was like really stoked on it.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
So would that have been, I suppose, your first experience of man-made terrain as such?
Yeah.
Rollers and berms and so on.
Yeah. And in the one that I live near kind of had a downhill section. So you could drop in on this berm, and it would be like 3 or 4 tabletops on a downhill. So it was like perfect. And I like caught air, and I was like, oh, this is really sick. This is rad. This is what I feel like they're doing in the video. So now I don't know. I just was like really hooked on it after that.
I bet. And so, without if ever we feel we're jumping ahead, slow us down, and if we're missing much, I'm assuming like you're now getting to grips with your cricket and looking around to try and maybe meet other mountain boarders, or there's got to have been a point where you stopped doing it by yourself and started to look to other people and trying to find other people within the sport.
Yeah, the only reason that happened was I needed like parts for my board. So it was probably a year that I had the board, at least. And I needed to get parts, or maybe it wasn't that long, but it was a while. And so my mom like called around to just some outdoor stores, because I think that store that carried it closed. So she called around, and this guy actually was like super helpful. He's like, hey, his name is Mark Toms. And he was like, hey, we don't have those parts, but you can get these parts here, but actually you should come out to this like demo we're doing this weekend, like a board, just like you could try out boards at this ski resort, and you should come out. They're going to run the lift. You can ride the lift, you can mountain board down and all that stuff. So I went to that, and I met him, and they had like magazines, and they had a bunch of boards people could try. They were teaching people, and you could ride the lift. And the ski resorts on the East Coast are really small, and they're not really rocky at all. So all the trails are like cut grass, almost like a golf course.
Yeah.
So it was perfect. Like I was riding the lift and doing like a bunch of laps, and I was like, this is what mountainboarding is, right? Like you go to a ski resort in the summer and you just ride the trails or just ride down the trails or whatever. And it's awesome. You just carve grass. This is great. This is really sick. So then he told me, he's like, oh, there's like events and stuff. There's all this like other people that do this, you know. So I started like paying attention and getting that magazine. It was a off-road boarding magazine.
Yeah.
And which became Mountain Boarding Magazine, I guess, or Mountain Board Magazine or something. And I started paying attention to that, and I went to some events because they were pretty close by, and then I started really getting more into it and meeting other people.
Yeah.
You know.
What was can you remember your first event as such?
Yeah, it was in Pennsylvania. It was at like a pub. It was a mountain board park that these middle school teachers, they started a mountain board club at their school. It was like the biggest club at their school, and they built a mountain board park in like a public park. So it was just for mountain boarding. Like I don't think people rode bikes there or anything. And they had like some jumps, and they had like a race course or whatever. And I went there and did that event. And there were a lot of people there. There's a lot of like sponsors, like Red Bull had a tent, you know.
Really?
So
this is at a school. So I mean, like we had school involvement would come to the centres and bring the kids to like Priory, XVP, and and
activity weeks and stuff like that.
Never did we have a school take on mountain boarding.
Well, it was just So I mean, they had clubs. Like I think most public schools do this in the U.S. is they have whatever club. So it could be, I don't even know. Like that. That's pretty rare.
Do the kids set it up? Do they?
It's usually like I think the teachers at that school. I think they were skaters. Like I know one of them definitely skated. Right. And they found mountain boarding, and they were like, this is really sick. And they started getting into it and started a club. Maybe some of the kids did it too and started it. Yeah. But there were like over 100 kids in that club at the school.
That's
like really quickly. And some of them were really good, you know, like they rode at that park. And I mean, I don't know, at the time they could all like catch air and do grabs and ride. Yeah. I don't know. They were.
Imagine if that trend had continued. Like you know, with and kept going through this.
Yeah, you know, it's I think part of the problem. Well, those guys kind of got bummed out because they had this event and they hosted this event, and it was part of something else. It was part of like, I forgot what they called it, but it was this mountain boarding like series at the time on the East Coast of the United States that this guy named Frank Beleza from New Jersey started, and he was also a teacher, which is funny. And this other guy, Justin Rhodes, you probably know him.
We've heard
so they worked together to organize, and that was like the Northeast. He did like the Northeast one. That was the first event. The second event, they were gonna bring a bunch of kids to this event, and they were like, I don't know, like it didn't work out. But so they went, and I guess they kind of got vibed out and weren't really like down to bring kids to more events, because they went to that event and the first thing, like someone showed up like, hey, what's up? And they like offered them weed or something, or like drugs or something. Like, I don't know. So they were like really kind of vibed out. They're like, oh, we don't want to bring our kids to this. Like, you know, I remember that being like a big deal with them, but they still had the park and they still had the club for a while, and they still tried to do things. And some of those kids kept riding. And, but I don't know, you know, it kind of just fizzled out after a while.
Yeah, as it did for quite a long time, really.
Yeah.
But you seem to have managed to dip in and out, I think, over the years. But you seem back in a purple patch at the moment, they say. But again, we're coming to that. Look, listen, I've got absolutely loads of questions here, and I'm just going to quickly remind myself of them, just in case they happen to fit into your timeline on any of this. thought there was one.
Have you written them down, Dan, or have you still got
I have written them down. No, there was an event question, but we won't bring it in just yet. Because we're still on the origin story.
Yeah.
So you've now done this first event on the East Coast, and as part of that series, did you continue on that series as you went?
Yeah, I went to like another one. So the other one was in like northern Pennsylvania, kind of near. They do the Little League Baseball World Series. It was kind of near that place, and that was really cool. And that was called like Cedar Ledge Rocks was the name of the park. And it was this farmer. He had a baseball field that he turned into a mountainboard park. So it had a big roll in dirt jump, like big air jump. And then it had a bunch of like jumps and pump tracks around, and it had like some rails and stuff like that. And then in the woods, he just built this border cross track, like carved it out of the hill. And, so I went to that one and met more people and did well and was hyped on it. And I'm
assuming you're not riding your cricket at this point.
No, I had a terra board. I got a terra board. I tried to build a board. Because I needed another, because I kind of outgrew the cricket, and I tried to build one because I just didn't work out. I'm not that like like handy, so I'm not able, still now, like I probably couldn't do that, but I got a terra board and I was riding that.
That's not perchance the one I've seen for sale recently, is it?
No, it's a different one. I don't even know what happened to that one. So that one was like had never been ridden until like 2 years ago or something.
Oh man,
the one
if it wasn't going to cost probably 3 times the price of the board to get it shipped over to the UK, I'd be having that one off you.
Yeah, it's a cool board. It is really cool to ride. That I don't know, but I just don't have the room for it. Kind of thing. And I just haven't been riding it, so I was like, oh, if someone else wants to ride this, could use it, that would be better. But I don't know what happened to that other terra board. I really don't. I usually try to sell stuff. I usually, once I was done with it, I just tried to sell it so I could buy other boards.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I've always been like that until quite recently, and then I sort of started figuring out or thinking along the lines that these boards that come up on the, your Facebook marketplace or stuff like that for $30, or in the UK, 50 quid or whatever it is. They're going one way if nobody buys them, and that's into landfill, and I'm like,
yeah,
some of them are worth keeping, like that ride to hill board has no value whatsoever, but there ain't going to be many of them left because they're so crap, but they all have a place in mountain board history, and that I quite get off on that a little bit.
Yeah, you're saving them from landfill, putting them in Danfill, just filling with random shit now, aren't you? It's an age thing, Dan.
Maybe.
Yeah, I just don't have the space for it. I wish, like, I hear what you're saying, and I kind of would hang on. I mean, I've had other stuff like that, like snowboards and skate stuff. I'm like, oh, I just want to hang on to this, but then I like have moved around, or and I'm like, I just don't have the space for it, and I'm not using it, so then it's hard to keep it, but yeah, I see some gems. I saw some guy riding an Outback at Ruby Hill a year ago, and I've seen him a couple times, and he said he got the board off Craigslist or something.
They're out there. They're out. You just keep an eye on them if you're that way motivated. But so you was riding a terra board as your your main board by this point though in your timeline.
Yeah, I was riding that, and then I was trying to do those.
Sorry, I was going to say, did that upgrade in board, did that help your ability or your confidence on board going from the cricket up to that, or?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it was a while ago. I feel like, probably it was just a bigger board, and I was definitely like trying stuff, but Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I like so I saw an ad in the same magazine for Earthboard, and they were like, call us up if you want to get sponsored. So I did that. Like because I had no idea, no one, I had never met like a pro skater or surfer or snowboarder. There's like no pro athletes in West Virginia or in that area. So I had no idea like how to go about this. I mean, mountain was super new, so I didn't know anyone. I was just riding, and those events like I did okay at. So I was like, oh, like I think I could probably get a board for free, or I could get something. I didn't even think of a board. I thought like, like a jersey or like a shirt.
Happy enough with that.
Yeah.
Huh?
A t-shirt. You'd be stoked
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah,
age.
like I was like, oh, that'd be cool. Like, what does that even look like? And so I called them and they, I don't know, I just convinced them they were down, so they like sent me a board. I mean, the board sucked; they were not good.
Because
So
to be fair, yeah, from what I've learned about Earthboard over the years, he probably had plenty of old people's retirement funds and things like that ready to be able to splash out on however many t-shirts you want, AJ.
Yeah. So that dude did the whole like committed fraud or whatever and screwed a lot of people over. But so I got Earthboard stuff, and then they were based in Costa Mesa, California, and I was doing those events and doing okay, and then they flew my mom and myself out to California to do a mountainboarding contest like that year.
Nice.
So, and I'd never been on a plane before. I'd obviously never been to California. And so I was hyped. I was so stoked. I did not do well in the event at all. It was a core tour with like the big roll in and wooden jump and everything. And I just, it was kind of out of my league. But I had a lot of fun, and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is really sick. I feel like this is kind of a cool accomplishment. Yeah. And
where the benchmark is now, right?
Yeah. And they paid for everything, like hotel, like they took care of, like everything was taken care of. So I was like, this is really sick. If I keep doing this, maybe other cool stuff will happen. And I was just hyped on it anyway. So then that made me like extra hyped,
Oh, awesome.
But yeah, but I rode those Earthboards for a little bit. I mean, not that long. And then the company just started to fall apart kind of thing. Like even as a kid, I was like, oh, this is not good. So then I kept breaking at decks and breaking stuff. So I just had to ride whatever I could get.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of breakages back in them days of all the tech, because as riders, you're probably pushing it. You're pushing the stuff, the equipment beyond its abilities when you're. So what's she written on the bottom of your mug tonight?
I don't know. It's too hot for me to tip up to my mouth at the moment. We'll have to wait.
What are you drinking?
A cup of tea.
Okay.
It's way, isn't it?
I've heard of it. Yeah. I've heard that happens.
Cup of tea, fish and chips, and all that stuff.
Fish and chips, yeah.
10 cups of that a day, at least.
10 cups?
At least, yeah.
Oh, wow. How do you have the time? This sounds like a legal requirement to drink that much. You're British, right?
Yeah. So after the core tour, where did that took you? Obviously, you must have flown back to Virginia thinking, "Rah, I've made a phone call, and these guys have flown us out. I'm effectively now, in 13-year-old AJ's mind, you're a pro sponsored athlete."
Mm-hmm.
What were your schoolmates? Did your schoolmates know that you was doing this stuff? What did they think of that at the time, or did it inspire any of them to pick up a board? Or
my someone I like rode the bus with, his name was Kevin, and he started riding, and I can't remember if we started building. We kind of built a park at his house. Like he built jumps. dad owned a construction company, so he had a bull excavator, and so he could like dig dirt and shape jumps and do all that stuff. And it wasn't like crazy big like that, but we had dirt jumps. He had rails. He built like PVC rails, picnic tables. So he built like a little park at his house.
It's a good friend to have.
What's that?
It's a good friend to have.
Yeah, and he like skated a little bit. He probably like he did a bunch of stuff like that. He was like pretty active. So he got into that, or I got him into that, and he got really hyped on it. And he was gnarly. Like he won a mountain board race that was like a 7-mile uphill and then downhill race. So you had to run.
Not the what's it called?
They call it the Iron Man. It was like,
right.
Yeah. So he won that, and he was, and it's not like he ran. He was much of a runner or like athletic. So he got to the top pretty quickly, like third one from the top. And then, but he could ride downhill so fast. He rode a mongoose with like skate trucks, Velcro bindings. But he was like, there was a pace car, and it was like he was running into it. Like he kept having to like slow down because it was going too slow, and he was trying to pass it, and they were like, go faster. Like it was gnarly. But he would just charge at things. He would go, he didn't care, you know?
Yeah.
And he won that race by a lot, and he was 14 at the time. So yeah. But yeah, we got into it, and we would just like ride everywhere. We would try to find spots. We would, dig dirt all day, shaping a jump. I would be at his house a lot, and he started going to some events, I think like the next year. And and then like more people got, if they were like interested in skating or snowboarding, like we had a spot to do it. So they're like, this looks really cool. And they would try it out, and some people would get into it for a little bit, and then they'd stop, and you know, I don't know.
I think that there is something a little bit different about mountain boarders in that they're not, most of the time they're not that fussed if they fall off. Some people don't like falling off of anything, whether it hurts or not. And I think mountain boarders generally, they're not of that kind. They're not fussed if they fall off. They're not fussed if they hurt themselves generally, and would carry back on. But yeah, so you've probably got to be knocking on about 14, 15 by this point, do you reckon?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I would try to go to all these events, and I don't know, and just try to do more with it, whatever.
And who were you looking to as your inspiration? Because at that time, because I know you as a majority, I'd say, if you were looking at your scales of where your motivations of riding come in, I'd say you definitely favor the freestyle as opposed to, a free ride or a racer or that sort of thing. And you've sort of said now your friend Kevin had this little park. Were you starting to up your game in the freestyle then? Were you starting to throw a few shapes? And who was motivating you at that time? Who were you looking to for inspiration?
Well, I guess so when I got that Terra board, I got it from some mountainboarding website. I can't remember the name now, but they sent a video of turf. Have you seen that video?
I'm not sure I have, but I'm going to investigate it now.
Yeah, turf is awesome. I watched it. I did like a TikTok about it kind of recently, and I'm like, this is still pretty amazing. And it's 20 years old, or it's like late 90s, early 2000s. So it's on YouTube. I can try to send you a link of it. But so I watched turf. I would watch turf a lot, and it was like sponsored by Earthboard, and it was all these dudes from like San Diego. They rode this place called Hooterville.
Yeah.
And it looked insane. They had a huge jump. They traveled around. They rode like everything. There was a lot of like free riding footage. There was contest footage. They rode at a resort called Boreal in California, and they had like Big Air and Border Cross there.
Yeah.
And I would watch that video a ton, and I was just like so hyped on it. And I thought, man, this is cool. Like, this is what people are doing. This is really exciting. I want to learn this stuff. I want to learn these grabs. I want to learn these like tricks and whatever. And, you know, I had skated and snowboarded before that. So that was kind of, you know, I related it a lot to that. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I could learn something on a snowboard. Maybe I could learn it on a mountain board, or I could learn these grabs on a mountain board and then try them snowboarding when snowboarding season starts. Yeah. So in the East Coast, there's just not big mountains. There's not like, you know, no one would have a snowmobile and go snowboarding in the backcountry, right? So the same with mountain boarding. I didn't think of it like a free ride. I didn't think of it, you know, more in the free ride aspect, but you know, Kevin was more into that.
Yeah.
And we definitely like found a lot of stuff that was that, you know, was like just free riding. It was just trails. It was just like whatever. He would find crazy spots. We would always try to ride them. Like, he had his park, and he could do some tricks, but like he was more about going fast and riding somewhere unique. And so we did that a lot, you know, and I wish we had, you know, what we have today, so we could film everything and have it and show it, because there was so much that we rode that we don't have footage of, or like, you know, it's lost.
Completely, and
yeah.
that was part of the motivation for me with doing this.
Yeah.
You know, all my heyday as such is of that era, where there just ain't that footage, and what is like we say in the past so many times, filmed on a potato at best.
Yeah, right. So, you know, not having good stuff to show. So I kind of feel like, I mean, thinking back, it was pretty balanced, you know. Maybe if I posted or had any footage, it was a lot of like riding a park or whatever. But we definitely ventured out, and we would try to explore a lot of different stuff. So,
whilst you mentioned Hooterville and the crew down that way, we've got a question that is somewhat related to that area of the world, and that's coming from your man Don Baker.
Sick.
He's a big fan. He's been admired you for many years, apparently, as we all have, AJ.
Thanks.
But he's asked, will you be, or if he's inviting you and asking whether you would like to be coming to the Dirt Heads Bash next year in 2023 in Hawaii. Is that something that might float your boat for a little session?
That'd be cool. I went to Hawaii like 2 years ago. I went to Maui to work on the documentary. So I'd love to like go back, and because I've seen some of the dirt there looks crazy. I've seen mountain boarding footage, but I've seen mountain biking videos from there, and it looks really awesome.
Oh, there's some weird shaped terrain there. I think obviously the volcanoes must, you know, shape the land in such a way that it looks quite, I don't know, in the UK we have the Teletubbies, like the Teletubby land, you know, like, but red, deep red.
No, the terrain, I've been to Oahu and I've been to Maui. So I don't know what island they're going to. I mean, I'd love to go.
There was talk of going over to Ali Kano's island. Is that Lanai? Would that be correct?
Oh, I don't know where but the terrain he rides too looks like insane. I love to see that. That's like what I love about mountain boarding, is like going to all these like crazy cool places that no one would ride a board at. Like, you wouldn't be able to skate or snowboard there. And you kind of wouldn't be able to bike, or it wouldn't be as good on a bike, you know. It's kind of really unique to mountain boarding. So I feel like a lot of terrain he rides, I always see, I'm like, this is so sick, you know. Plus I don't get to surf very much, so it'd be cool to go surfing.
Yeah,
I'm there. Yeah, no, the terrain in Hawaii is insane. Like, every time I'm there, or the times I've been there, I thought like, man, this is so crazy. I cannot believe how cool this is. you know.
I'd like to think that I'd like to be able to go over there for it next year. I think it'll be around my birthday, so that's what I'm
Treat yourself,
clutching
man.
at the moment.
If you ain't never,
But I didn't realize how far Hawaii is away from the States. You know, it's classed as a state, but then you look at it on a globe, and it's miles away. Like it's out in the middle of the ocean. But yeah, it
takes a while to get there. It definitely is like I think of Australia being really far, and it's like it almost feels like when I've been to Hawaii, I'm like, oh, like it's not that much farther to go to, you know, it's like maybe halfway, but still it's out there for sure. You know, it's a trek.
And so you were still riding, sorry, going back to your story as such, you're still riding the Terror board at this point. You've had a relationships with a few different board manufacturers over the years, haven't you now? So, you know, if we're saying Terror board, Earth board, at some point, I'm assuming at some point around about now in your origin, you'd have got on with Tramper there. Would that have been right?
Yeah.
How, if you don't mind me asking, how did that come about? Because Tramper, they're not a big US company. You know, most of the companies around the world, even today, seem to sort of look to their own countrymen to give boards to. Does that make sense? But you know,
yeah, I guess I was just looking at every company. Like I used to try to dig and find like any company, every company, and just see like what I could get, because like the Earthboard thing, you know, I mean their boards were not good, and plus the dude went to jail and the company just stopped. Right. And so then I could like survive off winning boards, you know, maybe I'd win a board at a contest and I'd ride that for a while. And I think I did that for a bit, or I would like sell something and then buy whatever. But I was just like breaking stuff, and then I found them and they said their decks didn't break. And I mean, I was like going through tons of stuff. Like I was straight up like off nothing even crazy sometimes. You know, nothing even that gnarly. They would just I remember one time it was like a 2-foot ramp. I was riding this board that I just got. I don't think I bought it. I think it was just like testing it out. And I was like, I did like a straight air off it and it just like snapped. And like clean, like that would happen kind of a lot, you know? So I was just looking for boards and I found them and got a board, and I bought a board and was riding that for a while. But yeah, I mean, I've kind of always just, you know, looked for what works the best, whatever's out there. I mean, kind of same in snowboarding a little bit, you know.
I suppose what is on offer, you know, to a degree, what is on offer. I mean, if you're getting offered stuff that doesn't mean that you have to pay for it, or you know, or if you're getting paid to ride it, then it kind of makes it more appealing as such. You're, you know, maybe you might be willing to put up with certain issues with a board if you're not paying for it, you know.
I feel like that happens a lot. I feel like that, like I've heard of like, do you remember the puffy shoe era in skating? There were like really fat puffy shoes. Like I remember hearing skaters saying
the big
like,
Osiris one.
Yeah, like the D3, or like there's just so many really big shoes, you know. And then I've heard skaters say like, you know, that's what was trendy, so that's what we had to skate, but it really probably held us back in some ways, like not having something that performed better. So I wonder if we would have been better back then if we had just like normal shoes, you know.
Something that you could feel the board under your feet with.
Yeah, a little bit. Which is like, I feel like now it's almost like people skate in slippers. Like it's always like slip-ons and like super low profile, and I don't like that either. You know, I can't skate like that, but there was definitely a bit of that mountain I mean, Outback, like the 3-wheel board, Outback had a ton of money, so that's why a lot of people were riding those boards. You know what's funny? Do you guys know who Biker Sherlock is?
No, can't say as I do.
Oh, so he was like a big X Games dude in like the late 90s, early 2000s. He did like street luge
Okay.
and like downhill skateboarding. But he was like really big into that. He always did really well. And I met him at a trade show. He used to mountain board.
Is that right?
And he mountain boarded for a little bit because of like downhill skating or whatever. And Earthboard sponsored him. He only rode for a little bit, and then he went to some contest, said it was gnarly, said he needed more money to be there, and they sent him like another like 5 or 10 grand just like to ride in the contest.
Fuck it out.
Yeah. Like it was like that. And he told me that. I was like, God, you're getting that kind of money? Like just to be, you know, I like would never even think of that. But he, you know, he was a pro athlete and he knew like his worth.
If mountain board companies at that time were modeling themselves on their closest relatives being skateboarding and snowboarding, I mean, think of the budgets that snowboard movies had in the early mid 2000s, you know, and what pro snowboarders were getting paid and what pro skateboarders were getting paid.
Yeah,
you know, you're almost getting just towed along by them, aren't you, at that point?
Yeah. I mean, that's changed a lot too now. Like a lot of skaters and snowboarders make way less than they did in the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything's kind of had an impact from that. You know, it's not, I mean, mountain is smaller, so it feels like it's way smaller now, but it's happening in skating, it's happening in snowboarding. I mean, they've been trying to sell the X Games, but you know, the X Games has been scaled down. Like everything's been scaled down, you know?
Yeah.
Budgets
I
have
think
been slashed everywhere.
Huh?
Yeah. Budgets have been slashed everywhere, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, you know, so but I feel like that was, I don't know, that's what that video like Turf, that's what it felt like, that these dudes were you know, probably getting paid or at least there was some money they put into it. I'm sure Down and Dirty MBS, like I'm sure they spent a lot of money on that and they probably paid riders, I don't know how much, you know, but
there was I think there was definitely some cash flying around for riders of that, you know, that level back in the day. I mean, things like that.
I mean, you guys have talked to a Coney, right? You've like, yeah, I've talked to him and like the amount of money he's made from a lot of things, you know, that I was surprised. I didn't even think you could make that much, but he was doing pretty well. So I think it maybe depends on the person. Like he grew up with pro surfers, so he knew the game, right? And a lot of us, I don't think did, or I didn't know it, you know? Yeah. So like I would have been hyped, like getting a free trip and some boards that weren't good was like awesome for me, you know? Like no one I known had done anything like that. Like that was mind blowing for me. And that was, I wouldn't have asked for more. Or then maybe I tried and didn't get it, but was like, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, you got different expectations.
Yeah. So, yeah, but you know,
were you competing on like the US nationals and stuff like that? Were you making those at that time in your life?
Yeah, I went to the first one I went to was in Iowa at a ski resort in Des Moines, Iowa. Like a little one chair, like the size of like a sledding hill. And I went out to, my mom like drove me out to that. It was like 15-hour drive. And but she was, I don't know, we went to California, so it was kind of like she got the free trip to California. So I think she was like, she was super supportive, you know, but I think she was like, oh, we should, you know, try to do as much as you can because it seems like you enjoy this and you're doing well at it or whatever.
Oh, big up the Mrs. Lawson.
Yeah, no, she really, it was super encouraging. Like I missed school for some of that stuff, like the trip to California. And like I had teachers that they were like, oh, you're going for like a week. It was like a week or 5, or I think it was a week. And they were kind of like not hyped on it, but I'm like, what about when the football team goes on a trip, you know? Like I'm going way farther than they are. Like I'm doing something more important than they are, I thought. So
Yeah.
why you let them do that, you know? I put as much hard work as they have. So yeah. But so she was super supportive. She was like, you know, this was rad. So she definitely, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to go to any of these events without her. So
yeah.
Yeah.
She obviously gave you a blessing to come over to the UK for a little while as well.
Yeah.
Quite a young age, has to be said to you.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, I worked construction when I was like 16, 17, and I like saved a bunch of money. So we did like a trip together and I like paid for that. But then the next year there was a surf company that sponsored, like paid for my flight. And so, you know, it was like, I don't know, that made it way easier, right? It was like, this is a good opportunity. I don't know if this is going to happen again, or maybe it will. I don't know. So.
Well, no, the answer is, AJ, any opportunity you get in life, you've got to take it, haven't you? Because if you're viewing it as an opportunity, then that's exactly what it is. Yeah. You know, if that trip had come up and you'd have got that note saying, oh, there is a free trip for you, and you decide that was the last thing on earth you wanted to do, that's not a missed opportunity. Right. But yeah. But yeah, no, I was hyped. So I thought, you know, I was like, and it was weird because I was flying by myself, and the airline said I couldn't fly by myself. I was like too young to fly to the overseas. But I was like, no, I've done this before. Like, I know, you know, I got family there. Like, it's all good. You know, I just lied to them, and I was just like, yeah, nah, I do this all the time. Like, it's good. And they're like, okay.
So what was your initial thoughts when you came over to the UK, that the mountain board scene over here compared to what was going on back home?
It was, I mean, I was pretty blown away because I thought there was a ton of people, and the mountain board parks there. The first one I went to was called Court Farm, I think. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, this one's sick. Like, this is crazy. There's all these people here. Like, this is big. This is super nice. People are really good, you know, like people really seem to be like, the level's pretty high, I thought. And then when I got to like do more stuff and venture out, I was like, man, like people are really good here. And it seems like this is bigger than in the US, you know. I think it's probably must have felt that way because the UK is probably smaller in size than your home state. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably about the same size. It's probably like as far as like land. Yeah. Yeah.
But we're an island, so there's nowhere else to drag from. You know, everything's a little bit more concentrated, I suppose.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, like the distances, I mean, I don't know, like driving somewhere in the US, even now, like I'll drive a couple hours in one day to go snowboard or whatever, or do a day trip, but I feel like in the UK it's probably not as common.
Well, I think back in those times then, if you were where were you residing in the UK back then? Near Court Farm?
No, Nottingham.
Nottingham.
With Nottingham.
Ted, then, I assume. So yeah, there wouldn't have been that many centres up near Ted, or
yeah, there. I don't think there was. There was like a really small one that I never went to, but it was still like an hour away.
Yeah. So, but Court Farm, within an hour of Court Farm, you'd have had Out to Grass, Bugs Boarding, and I'm sure I'm missing one here, but that Bristol, Gloucestershire area in the UK was a real hub for mountain boarding in the UK.
Yeah, dude, Out to Grass was like my favorite place ever. I loved Out to Grass. I think Ian was the guy who ran it. He was sick. He was cool. I loved talking to him. I loved riding there. I only got to ride there like a handful of times. But that place was incredible. I thought that place was amazing. I loved all those other places, but that was probably Altagrass was my favorite place.
It had a good vibe there. It's a really, really nice setup. Really super friendly staff as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say
the
like
park was clean as the whole park.
Really, yeah.
It was like a
Perfect.
groomed snowboard park, the slope style area there.
Yep.
Hard packed dirt, clay.
Yep.
It was lush.
Yeah, and that's what like the parks in the US that I'd been to were a little more DIY. Like they were good. They were really rad, but it was a little more not as like manicured, because it would be like far away from stuff. The Holler in North Carolina where Justin Rhodes, that was like deep. That was like there wasn't houses nearby at all. There was like no one nearby. You were like really out there, and it was sick. You had like a really rad park, but it was just more. It felt more like hand built, whereas like Altagrass and some of the, like Bugs, a lot of these other places, just felt like it was a little more manicured, or a little more pristine. So, yeah. So it just felt like there was more going on, and like more, like bigger sponsors involved.
Yeah, I think again going back to the timeline, if we're talking 2004, 2005, that sort of era was probably the peak of popularity in the UK.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. In terms of competitor numbers at competitions
and events in the series as well. You're talking what, 5 or 6?
Yeah, 5 or 6 events in the UK series. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a ton of contests all the time. There was stuff like constantly, like nonstop.
Summer was every week, every weekend.
Yeah.
Something going on.
Yeah.
And then obviously, so you've done your couple of trips to. I'm glossing over some of this because I'm looking at the time here and thinking we're still like 15 years in the past here at the minute.
Yeah, no worries. We can skip around. I don't care. I mean, I'll talk about whatever. I like talking about it. So
yeah. So obviously you'd come back to the US there, from the UK, and I know you've visited me in France when you was over here on one of your trips when I was living in Courchevel with the Tweedy and Sam Nicholas and a few of them crew come over. Great times for me.
Yeah, I still talk about that. I still talk about, because people will talk about like riding with a brake, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's really good at a like big mountain, like riding Courchevel. I remember like free riding there, and that was like such a big resort. Like I had never been to a big ski resort. Again, like East Coast is super small. Yeah. Like honestly, the ski resorts I ride were probably the length of Altagrass, right? So to go to a place like Courchevel and be in France, like I loved it. I was like so high. I remember there was a fireworks contest. There was like a show that, like, I'll never forget that. Like I was like, dude, this place is fucking sick. Like I'm trying to, I thought it was awesome. Like I still remember that a lot, bombing down the road, going with a brake, going really fast. Like, yeah, it was awesome.
There was such good terrain to be had. And you say that about it being such a big resort. Courchevel is part of the 3 valleys. Courchevel, Maribel and Val Thorens. There is a 4th called Orel as well, but it's not sort of listed as a 4th valley. But that's actually the largest. That and Morzine of Oriaz, the Port de Soleil. So the 3 valleys and Port de Soleil. I'm not sure which one's bigger, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the 3 valleys is the biggest ski resort in Europe in terms
of believe you.
land mass.
I'll take your word for it.
Fact.
Yeah, any facts, fam. No cap. Dead ass, son. On God, fam. That's lit.
And so you've come back to the US then from these European and UK trips, and by that point, I'm gonna my knowledge of your riding and whereabouts as such is going to start to run out, because I was obviously doing my thing in France and then had my own sabbatical away from mountain boarding. So what happened with you, say from, I'm assuming sort of 2009 to the next decade of there, because I think from 2019, 2020, we're starting to see you put out some socials and some media and stuff like that with the likes of Instagram. But we'll get to that modern day in a minute. That decade there, were you still riding a mountain board, or were you just focusing more on snow? Or
there's a lot of years I didn't ride a mountain board at all. I remember, like, I hadn't ridden in maybe over a year, and then I got asked to do a demo at an SIA, which is like the snow sports industry. It's called Outdoor Retailer now, or they like merged or whatever. But MBS did like the demo ramp, jump, whatever. And I hadn't stepped on a board in like a year, because I was going to school and I moved to a different part of West Virginia, and I was trying to ride a lot. And I was trying to film, and I got some clothes. I got like trying to get like sponsored so I could keep going, like get clothes or get something going. And it was just really hard. And so I kind of just, I didn't have a good place to ride either there. Like I would find spots and it was just okay, and I would ride around town a lot. Like I would hit handrails on a mountain board, like little ones, but I would just do that kind of stuff, or I would ride whatever. And I was just by myself. And then I just had friends that skated and snowboarded, and it just was easier to hang out with them and do that. I would ride at the skate park a little bit. It was such a bad little skate park. It was terrible, but I would mountain board there. And I don't know. I just, it was hard to ride by myself and not have really anything happening, any like incentive, like not only it's like if I film it, no one's really going to see it. And I have no like budget to travel anywhere, do anything. And I can just skate with people or go snowboarding. And that's just fun. And have fun. And just that's easier. Right. And like, and more people can do that. And it's just whatever. So I just kind of just stopped for a while. I did that SIA demo and I was really hyped on it. And I was kind of nervous because like, dude, I haven't really mountain boarded. I don't know if what I can do, but I had fun. Like I felt good. And a bunch of companies gave me like their cards or gave me stuff at that thing. And I just wasn't in that mindset to even like reach out to them. Like I got like 20 cards from just different random companies. They're like, hit us up. We'd love to give you stuff. You
must have done all right then. If you've not stepped on a board for a year at that point, gone and done a demo, and then walked away with a load of cards.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I felt fine. I was like, oh, this is okay. This is like,
I mean, let's be honest, your level when you were in the UK, AJ, used to blow us all away. I don't want to sound like I'm blowing smoke up your ass here, but you've always been quite inventive with your tricks and quite, try to do them a little bit differently to the way that most people would go about doing a trick. And it's something that's garnered you a lot of admiration from the community. I mean, I don't know whether you ever feel that as a person or have felt that over the years. But yeah, there's a lot of, put it this way, there's a shit lot of questions here from the community.
Okay.
So, you are reaching people, and you have always reached people, with whether it be a memorable run or a memorable trick, or, a lot of these questions are quite specific with, what they're asking about you, whether it be a particular grab or a particular trick, because of how memorable they are, and yeah. Like
I remember at Coastal, I think it was the first time you came over. There was a competition at Coastal. There was a rail about 5 foot off the floor, and it had plywood down the sides. Everyone was hitting it going down the rail, like 50-50s and board slides, but you looked at it and you said hit sideways, went straight up over the side. You looked at it in a different way.
Okay.
Can you remember that?
What, hit the plywood from the side as opposed to going over.
It was like a wall ride.
Oh.
Yeah, used it as a wall ride, went straight up over the top of it, and just hit it 90 degrees to where everyone else was hitting it, like a normal round. You looked at it and thought, oh yeah, seen a different line.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have done things a little differently. And whilst we're on this, I'm going to bring in another question, if that's all right, because this one is of this ilk, and this comes in from Steve Birkbeck.
Oh, cool.
Jorge Bobecchio.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll let him do the talking and turn it up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the law, man. Yeah, when you were over here, we were at Hales freestyle comp, and you got properly beaten up trying to front flip on a rail, step down rail. Did you ever try it again? Did you ever land it? Because yeah, mate, that was impressive. All the best, dude.
So yeah, I remember that one as well, and I'm pretty sure you were you backflipping to 50-50 or something like that?
Yeah, I tried. Yeah. I guess I kept just like floating too far to the left. I think if I did like more of a wildcat, I think now, like with the right setup, or like even if I just did a wildcat, I think I could have like done it. I don't know if I ever did one. I don't know if I ever really tried one again, because that was like the perfect rail for it.
Yeah.
And like setup.
Literally a kicker. The kicker would have flown you straight over the flat onto the down, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever tried that again or done it again. It was just like the good setup, and I was like, oh, that'd be crazy. That'd be sick. And I don't know. I probably calmed down a lot since then too, because I would definitely want to like try something gnarly, right? Like that's like the gnarliest thing. Like that would be the craziest thing. And I hope that, you know, I've definitely been a little more. I mean, wasn't like I was like that out of control, but I feel like maybe I'm a little more in control just in general now, you know, or a little more calculated when it comes to things.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, and it's just like, I don't know, like I've always been attracted to just outsiders, whatever it is, like even in skating or snowboarding, like my favorites are always like the weirdest people, and they do stuff differently than everyone else. Mm-hmm. And I've always thought that was cool, and I've always wanted to be something like that, you know, where it's like maybe this isn't the hardest or gnarliest thing. I mean, I guess sometimes it can be, but that it's like I approach this differently, you know, and maybe do something that someone wouldn't have thought about, you know. And I kind of still try to think like that a little bit, you know. It's hard to do that all the time. I don't know how some people do it, but
well, no, I think just like I say, that inventive sort of creative way of looking at an obstacle, of what's possible on that obstacle. You've always managed to look at things a little bit differently. You had a couple of, I'm pretty sure it was on a snowboard. You did a picnic table, like a couple of slides, and then like a hand plant off a picnic table video a few years ago.
Okay.
I can't remember what.
You have to drop that one in when you find it.
That's going to take me a few hours to find that one. I wish I hadn't bothered.
That's okay.
But yeah, there's all sorts of creative tricks out there that you've done, and you were pretty good at a standard MJ back in the day, from memory.
Oh yeah.
From the
I haven't
Cream
done
Teas
that in
and
a while.
Jam days.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of tricks and stuff, we're leading on from Steve's trick. I've got another question with regards to a specific trick.
Yeah,
This
just
one-
quick shout out Steve. Actually, I haven't talked to him in a long time, but that dude he was really rad too. He's a really cool guy, and I don't know.
He's incredible. I'm so
Yeah.
lucky to have him in my life.
Yeah,
I
I'm glad I got to
reckon
spend
best
any
way.
amount of time around him because he's just like a good person to be around, funny, and there's a lot of people like that in mountain I think so.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to hook up with him 2 weeks ago.
That was sick.
Yeah, and have a ride with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this next question comes in from Ashmole Holland, and he has asked, how did you manage to get up, and how did you feel after nearly KOing yourself on your 1080 attempt, and have you tried ever since? And he's even sent us through a video of your 1080 attempt. This is going to come through quick, so I'm going to have to do it quick here.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I mean, that is a
that.
hell of a fall there.
Yeah.
Over the
I hope. I wonder if all these questions are going to be like, dude, how'd you not die?
Yeah, exactly. How did you not die? Because you favored flat spins, didn't you? Seem to then.
What's that?
You seem to favor a flat spin on those 10s as opposed to corking it or
instead of
like
corking it. Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people in mountainboarding, but like even in snowboarding, were doing like any sort of corked. I mean, I think like a double cork was still pretty new, like a double cork 1080. So like that was not. Now it's like I see children doing that, right, in snowboarding, like just whoever, right? So, yeah, I guess I did a 9 before that. I landed like kind of backseat, but it came around like pretty easily. Like I thought, like I don't know, like I was surprised, like oh man, I didn't really spin as hard as I could have.
Yeah.
And I was like all about that at one point. I was like, yo, let's do the most, like how far can you go, right? And so I was like, man, if I spin a little harder, maybe I can get that extra 180 around, but it's like it was way harder than I thought. And I don't know, I was like fine. Like I was like shaken up because I was like scared a little bit, but I didn't like hit my head. I just sort of like rolled with it, I guess, like went limp and just kind of rolled with it. And I really wasn't hurt at all.
Yeah. I suppose it's a bit like being a snowboarder, you'll probably realize it. Sometimes it's easier to, I'm not particularly a good spinner, but sometimes it's easier to spin off a kicker than it is just to do a straight air. And sometimes, or if, if you're landing in a spin, you've got momentum is what I'm trying to say. You're not just landing a thud, you're kind of skidding with it. So maybe that was helping you out. The fact that
I don't know. I definitely, I remember like being like, wow, that was gnarly. I don't want to do that again.
So you've never been back for a second bite then at the 1080?
Not on a mountain board, I don't think. No. Yeah, not on a mountain board. I don't know. I mean, my other 900s I've done after that or like landed,
I mean, there were massive kickers on that Fat Face Night Air tour down at Southwest Mountainboard Centre. They were I don't know, they've got to be about 20 foot to knuckle.
Yeah, no, there were some big dirt jumps. I haven't hit anything like that in like a long time. So because I ride a lot of like now just like bike parks, like Colorado and especially around Denver has a bunch of bike parks, and they're just not the same kind of jumps, and they're usually like in a line. So being able to do a trick like that is just, I would be so hard. Yeah, those are like really big jumps. And I kind of wonder if like we have the board technology, I think has gotten better now. And with the right jumps, like the stuff people could do, like those kind of big tabletop dirt jumps, or even like a step up kind of dirt jump. Because I hit a step up jump in Utah at this like little bike park, and definitely it's like softer landing. It was definitely easier to try certain stuff. So I was like, man, I wonder if you made this but bigger and like good running and all that, if what people could do, you know.
There's definitely scope for progression. I think you know that there are certain riders out there who are pushing the limits now with the use of airbags, aren't they? So hopefully they can start transferring that to dirt as well as just on the bouncy castle.
Yeah, I saw like Matt Bryn trying sloth rolls, and I was like really sick, and like he looked pretty close to it. But I mean, him and his brother do like so many gnarly tricks. They're so good at them. But they have a good setup, and I think that helps. But yeah, man, it's awesome to see.
Yeah, I think Antoine Gambier is not going to be too far behind them. He's got himself a DD bag, hasn't he? And now Dylan has got one over in Australia now as well. So they're
I saw him doing that demo, and they were just like, because I did a demo with them in Australia, and the ramp was good, but you know, it's also I don't, a lot of those like demo ramps I didn't love like hitting a wood landing. You know, I'd rather hit like a dirt landing. I don't know, and that's kind of how I am now anyway. Like I'd rather just ride dirt or like off road or something. But it seemed like they were a lot more comfortable on the airbag, where they like could do a lot more because they're just landing in a lot safer landing, you know?
Yeah. I think if you're looking to do demos, especially if you've got a week-long stint at a festival or something like that, or a weekend, it's gonna make the lifespan of your riders so much longer, because you're not going to risk nailing them in the first bloody show, are you?
Right. Yeah, you'll like, they're gonna try stuff, and you know, it's not like, I don't know, you're just trying to show people, you're demonstrating what could happen, right? So like making the best environment for that makes a lot of sense. So yeah.
Should we go on to another couple of questions? Should we bang through a few of these questions, AJ? You up for that?
I guess. Are all of them going to be like, oh, what trick did you not die on? Like,
no. I think that is the last of the trick ones as such. Well, actually, there's one more, but it doesn't involve what will you die on. Emlyn Bainbridge has sent in a couple of questions. How do you?
Oh, he's sick.
Any tips for the perfect crail? I'm assuming that he's regarding you as having the perfect crail.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. Any tips for that?
Yeah. No, that dude's sick. How do you say his name though?
Emlyn.
Okay, I was saying it differently. That dude's really sick. I don't know. I learned it snowboarding. Like I just thought it was a cool grab that I saw in videos, and I kept just reaching and couldn't grab it, and then one day it just clicked, you know.
Yeah,
there's certain grabs
that straight back leg as well looks super sick, dude.
Yeah, you could try like a stick shifter crail or like frontside crail. So I do that sometimes, so like grab crail and then pull it in front of you like frontside.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe that's easier to do a stick shifter, but you know,
it looks fucking good it looks cool as fuck.
Yeah, thanks, man.
He's also asked, are you working on any new tricks at the moment?
I don't think so. I mean, there's some stuff that I haven't done in a long time that I would like to land on something or whatever, you know, or I was thinking about getting like a Woodward pass this year, like a Woodward barn, because there's a Woodward copper. Like I'll go snowboarding there sometimes, but there's like a foam pit in there, and the pass is only for like a year. It's like $200, and to go one time is like really expensive, like $60 or $80. So it's like I might get that and just go every once in a while, just because it again with like the airbag, like working through stuff I haven't like done in a long time. I'm like, oh, you know, this is really helpful. before trying it on dirt or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, there's stuff I was trying in the foam pit, but
yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's probably we're probably talking about too much. We're getting too close, flying too close to the sun to stop us. You know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Sorry, technology had me there. Technology had me.
It has us all. Really, it's controlling us all. We're already living in the metaverse. We don't realize it. You know.
Oh, don't.
This is probably a simulation.
It cost me 200 grand to move into Sloggett's neighborhood on the metaverse. He lives in Snoop's neighborhood.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's insane to me. That's like the idea of people buying property in like in a virtual world is like insane to me. I can't believe it. Spending real money.
Baffling, isn't it? Absolutely baffling.
Yeah, that was like, you know, we were talking about like action sports or whatever, kind of you know, getting smaller. But I was working at a summer camp, a snowboard camp, and they were saying, you know, one of the big things were like kids were just using iPads now. Like it was like a kid, okay, I could spend a ton of money and send him way to skate camp or biking or whatever, but he could get hurt and it's dangerous and whatever, but it's just easier to hand a kid an iPad and he's just like a zombie. And then, you know, and kids are way more into that. And I've heard a lot of people in skating or snowboarding basically say, yeah, we think this is contributing to a little bit, you know.
Oh, I would say without a doubt. I mean, look, the credit crunch, the big crash in 2008 smashed a shitload of businesses in all manner of, you know, in all manner of areas of the world.
Sure, yeah.
And at the same time, 2008, you'd have probably seen the release of maybe like PlayStation 3, Xbox.
Yeah.
That and the start of online gaming, Minecraft and Fortnite and things like that were starting to. And what hope do we have when it involves carrying a board up a hill for 10 minutes to ride down for 30 seconds?
30 seconds of it.
Yeah, dude, people will like comment that a lot. Like, how do you get back up the hill? I'm like, just walk. And they're like, oh, you know, or like, this seems like hard work. I'm like, yeah, I guess, but like, I don't know. It's still fun.
Yeah, it
is.
You
know, yeah. The esports thing is great. There's like stadiums here for esports, like Texas and a couple that it's not for like basketball or football. It's just to watch people play video games, which is like, I'm not a gamer. I don't know if you guys are, but it is mind blowing to me. Like I can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, I my kids. I've got 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
The eldest one would quite happily be a YouTuber. The youngest one is just fucking loves watching unboxing shit.
Insane, right? There's people, millions. They make so much money and they just open stuff.
Yeah. and watching,
they get given stuff for free to fucking open.
Yeah, they're like, oh, let me open this box, like stuff I would not really care about at all, you know.
And then the other shit she watches
reaction
other
videos,
people playing video games, but like voicing over the video game. So like that, she'll watch somebody playing Minecraft as a unicorn, and chatting about what's going on in the thing, and she thinks it's fucking great. I'm like, oh man,
yeah, dude, Twitch streamers make a ton of money. Some of those bigger Twitch streamers just from Twitch are making millions of dollars. You know,
like
people. Yeah, no, it's hard not to talk like about this stuff and feel like I'm an old man and saying like, oh, these kids today. But it really, there's such a big disconnect where I don't get it, where I can't see why it's so interesting for people, you know, and why something like mountainboarding or skating or whatever is not more interesting.
Let me tell you this, AJ. we've made approximately 67 cents since starting this podcast.
Oh, sick. How have you monetized it?
In monetization, yeah.
How?
67 cents on the audio outlets. So when you, I distribute it for a website, and then that puts it onto Spotify, onto Apple, onto all the different places.
So when people listen,
I've not seen any of it. He's pocketed the lot.
All 67 cents. Wow.
All 57 cents, man.
Have you thought about doing a Patreon?
We have. I have thought about it, but to be honest, I don't know whether I don't think that. I feel a bit weird asking who I regard as my friends to pay me to do something that I enjoy doing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's just a bit fake. I don't know.
We get a lot out of this because we get to talk to people like you.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, I'm sat here just talking to mates for a couple of hours once a week. It's like it's hardly like,
I
don't know. You have to have the right mindset, obviously, Dan.
Yeah, well, you've not got to do the few hours editing afterwards.
Yeah, it's worth.
That's your 67 cents worth there, Dan.
Yeah, all right, okay.
You earned it.
That's why.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's other stuff. I forgot what it was. So I used to host a podcast or co-host one, and someone, we didn't like do any like money, like Patreon or anything like that. I think we have like sponsors every now and then. We do ads for, but someone said, "I really love this. I want to give you guys money," and there was some. They might have just like Venmo'd us or PayPal or whatever, but there was something where you could just donate. Like if you felt like, I forgot what it was called. There's probably different websites now, but I appreciate like someone who listens to this may not be your friends. He says, I just want to give you guys money because I appreciate it. Maybe it's not much. Maybe it's like $10 or whatever, but you could maybe set something like that up. Or, I mean, really it's like getting sponsors. That's like, getting a viewership and then getting sponsors and, hey, 100,000 people are going to listen to this. Would you like to be, sponsored this podcast? And that's how you would probably make money from it. But again, if it's hard. Mountboarding is really small and it's still pretty new.
It's a bigger sport, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for like other sports too, but, I don't know. It's really cool what you're doing. You're really consistent. You guys put out a lot of cool stuff, and maybe that could be something that's a reality in the future.
Well, we'll keep doing it because we love it, and if it ever grows, I won't ever stop trying to grow it. And if it ever grows to that stage, then that's a great, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Well, that's great. That's awesome. You're stoked on it. So. Yeah.
Listen, we was banging through some questions before the internet cut me off.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to bash back into some of them again?
Let's bash away.
Okay, this one comes in from Antonio from Portugal, the Sintra crew.
Okay. Yeah.
He's asked, and it's kind of relevant to this a little bit still. Is mountain boarding, in your opinion, currently growing in the US and the world, or is it still shrinking?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't look at board sales from anyone, but it feels like more people are getting boards, or there's people at least in Colorado that I don't know who they are and they mountain board. So I see more of that. And I see people reaching out to me. Like, it happens a lot on TikTok. Mm-hmm. Like, I just did a video where you buy a board because people have no idea, right? And I just did one of that, and people are like, "Oh, this is sick! Thank you, I appreciate it." I have a how to start mountboarding on TikTok. It has like 1.5 million views and like hundreds or 1,000 comments or something. So people are super interested in it. They see it like, man, this looks really sick. This looks fun. I want to try it. I want to get one. There's a couple people I want to get boards out to, or get something out to that. I went to Canada this year on a snowboard trip, and I went to this like tune factory or tune shop, and that dude who owns the shop, he like really wants to get a board. Like he was looking at some kid's board with like a brake to get, and I was like, don't get that, try to get, but I think in Canada it's a little harder to get stuff. He's super hyped on it. So my friends that snowboard or skate like really want to try it. They're really sick at it. And, I think honestly, like social media has shown a lot more people what it is, because people like, I've never seen this before still, or they haven't seen people, ride in a certain way. They maybe seen the boards, but never seen anyone like, what can you do with it? Right.
Yeah.
And I think more people are seeing that, and more people are interested in that, and more people are open to something unique, some kind of unique, whatever that could be. Like I have friends that snow skate, and I've seen snow skating feels like that looks like that's a lot bigger, right? Or kendama. I mean, kendama is probably fucking really huge, or like whatever it is. It's just these people are finding it online and like, oh, this is sick. I didn't know people did this or could do this way, and now I'm interested in it. Yeah. So, I do feel like it's growing. It's really small. It is one of those things where like, even in Colorado, there's no dedicated mountain board park or mountain board shop or anything like that. So that's going to be hard for people to maybe get into. I've tried to like go out with people and ride with them and like teach them, but I don't have that much time. So it's hard for me to do that kind of stuff. But, there are people that I've seen more people interested in, and I've seen more people trying to get into it. So, it feels like this could be like the best time, honestly, for mountain boarding. Because a lot of that stuff we talked about, dude, I miss that. There were some really great times. Some of the best riding happened, the biggest events. But I don't know how many people in the world got to see that, right? And now it feels like probably Dylan is reached the most people online, I would guess. Yeah. Right. And he has videos on YouTube that have hundreds of millions of views. And I'm sure that's reaching farther than anything else, maybe a Disney movie, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's reaching way more people than we could have thought. And he does a lot more work to reach people too. So yeah, it just feels like more people are getting to see it now.
Yeah, I think props has to be made to Dylan for the work on his, on his social skills as such. And even in the flesh, the guy's still running around doing demos and stuff with Australian mountain boarders and the MBS Australia stuff. It is insatiable in putting content out that's interesting as well, especially to the youth. He seems to be quite in touch with the way that the current media works. His real game is strong, as they say.
Absolutely, yeah. And he reaches, like, I see he gets posts by things I don't even know what they are, but it's like some big account, and they're like, "Whoa, this is crazy!" Like he definitely he's the best at it, right? I think, and at least in mountain boarding, he's the best at is filming it really well, at making it look good, and reaching out to the right people, right? Yeah. But that's really hard. It's really tough to do that,
and time consuming.
Super time consuming. Like I really, I feel for him, because it's hard to keep it up. Once you have an audience, it's hard you got to keep pushing it. And a lot of people quit, whatever that is. I've talked to people all the time. They're like, yeah, it was just too much pressure and not worth it. So they just stopped, and they just started doing something else in life, or just not using the internet as much. But yeah, so I think seeing all that and just the amount of interest, it just feels like I don't know. It feels like it's probably growing more than it has before.
Maybe the second wave.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Like even, so I don't know, Dan, if you heard us talking about Ruby Hill at all?
Yeah.
Oh, but I was there. Devin Garland and I were there, and some mom was like, "Oh, we saw you out here. My son wanted a board, so we got a board, and he's been riding around. You know, lives in the neighborhood, and he rides the grassy hills. He's been riding the bike park, you know." So just seeing someone do it at a place that looks like it's designated for that, you know, has influenced people. And a lot of bikers, like whenever I go somewhere, they want to try it. They're like, "Yo, I snowboard, but I don't skate, and I don't really want to skate, but I want something kind of like snowboarding."
Yeah.
And that looks, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think a lot of skills translate over.
Well, you've brought me deliciously onto a question here from Phil Line of or as we know Hero Boards.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
He has asked, how come, or what are your thoughts, why we don't see snowboarders using mountain boards as a side hustle in summer?
They want to, like the coaches at Woodward. Like when I was in the foam pit there, so I don't know if you've seen Woodward has those roller boards. Have you ever seen those?
I've seen. I think Polish David Rozaka uses them as a for a training technique at his gym.
Yeah, so those don't turn. They have no turning mechanism, and they're kind of weird to ride. And you know, like even just being able to turn into the foam pit, because sometimes you're not like lined up or whatever, or if you have to correct yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like the coaches were like, "Man, like this looks really cool. Like, how do we get boards? We want to try it out." And I was like, I don't know, like hit me up if you're in Denver, I guess, you know. And and they could definitely make a better system. You could probably do it without off-road wheels in the foam pit, and it would be a little bit lighter, but it'd probably be like way more closer to you could be way more comfortable and wear regular shoes instead of snowboard boots, as you have to do with the roller boards. But my friend Cale Hill, who's a pro snowboarder from Canada, who's like insane. I don't know if you know him.
I have seen some of his footage. But...
Yeah, he's been hitting me up for a while to get a mountain board. He like really wants to do it. He's like super unique, and he's really interested in it. And I've been trying to get him. I think we've talked about it, like try to get him a board.
Yeah.
Because he's like super down with that, and he likes to do like these summer training snowboard things, like dry land training. So I think it'd be cool if he got one and see what he could do with it. There was that shop I was talking about in Canada, like they're both there. I don't know. I have other friends that snowboard and do it. I think, you know, if you really want to snowboard year round, it's not that hard as well. So if you like just want to go snowboarding, like Mount Hood in Oregon, it's still been snowing. It snowed here. It snowed in Denver 2 days ago.
Really?
And yeah, there was a couple inches of snow on the ground. I mean, it melted pretty quick, but there was snow on the ground. In the mountains, it snowed like 20 inches. Right. So people were getting like pow laps, you know. And in Colorado, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could probably snowboard all year round. You know, you could hike a glacier. September gets really hard.
I was going to say, are there glaciers in Colorado then?
There's St. Mary's Glacier, which isn't far from Denver, and there's patches of snow. Woodward has a summer snowboard program. They've done a public hike park in the summer at Copper. Right. I don't know if they're ever going to do that again, but you know what I mean? If you just want to snowboard, there's an indoor slope now in New York. Mm-hmm. So I've been seeing a lot of people ride there or go there. Or they might want to just skate, you know. And I don't think a lot of them have seen people riding mountain board. Maybe they've seen the boards, but like, I've never even really seen footage of it. Like, what do people do on this? And I think the more people that see it, that's when they become interested. Like, oh, you can, because they didn't even think I could like hit the jump on the foam pit. They were like, how, you know. And then they saw that, and I'm like, you can do like snowboarding tricks. So like, oh wow, like this is something we're interested in now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it should be. I don't really understand why I do understand why it hasn't taken off as much as snowboarding, because it requires, if you want to ride the same the same terrain as you're riding in winter, you know, if you want to go and ride your same ski field in the summer, you're probably going to want to go and put elbow pads, knee pads, helmet, wrist guard, butt pads on in case you do catch an edge. You're not going to be falling into a load of, into a nice powder chair. You're going to be falling onto dirt. So that side of things puts people off. But again, it shouldn't, because if you go out and go buy a snowboard, okay, so you've got your snowboard, you've still got to go out and buy your gloves, your outerwear, your goggles, or if if you've got a different lenses, if you've got a bloody a white out day, all that sort of stuff, like unless you're just, I mean, maybe it's a bit different for people like snowboarders like yourself, because you tend to ride more urban terrain for the most part, I would say, or that, at least that's what we see of you riding. But yeah, I mean, the outlay of snowboarding, the outlay in terms of financial outlay, the financial outlay to go mountain biking, and you still have to buy the same gear to go mountain biking. Half the people here still ride with knee pads on and helmet and
all that. No, I was saying, like, at the bike parks, a lot of mountain bikers, they're like, how much does your board cost? And I tell them, like, oh, that's nothing. That's like a wheel for them. It costs nothing. And some of them, but a lot of mountain bikers I've noticed here ski. I'm like, oh, do you skate or snowboard? Like, oh, I go skiing. So riding a board for them is not
shoulders to the front, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of, which I guess that's what it is, because everyone I talk to, like, no, I ski. I'm like, do you hit rails or jumps? And they're like, no. So they just don't, it doesn't always, they're not in the same world a little bit. They're in a little bit different world.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get hit up a lot, dude. This like backyard, not even backyard. It's like this park, the snowboard park in Utah hit me up about getting mountain boards. They're called the Rome Ranch.
Okay.
And he was asking me questions. Like, I think he has a tow rope, and he built, I don't know if they get a lot of snow, so they build a lot of stuff out of dirt, and they have rails, and it looks cool. It looks sick. And he was like, yeah, I think it'd be good for that. People would hit me up, and I was telling him, like, check this out, whatever. So I get a lot of interest. I get a lot of people that are good skaters or snowboarders, or they have facilities for it, and they're like super interested in it. And
I mean, like those small ski fields, like, for example, your Ruby Hill Park there.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were to, maybe they do, I don't know, but in summertime, have they shifted any dirt around to put any tabletops in or anything like that? Because half the, like in France, a lot of the landings in the park are dirt. They've shaped the dirt so that when the snow falls on it, they've not got to bother shaping it. It's already there. My thinking being is that these small ski fields and snow fields, if they were to put a summertime terrain park in there, when it comes to snow, it's just going to cover it over, and you're using it for the winter time then as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with Ruby Hill, so the snowboard park that's at Ruby Hill is just on like a grass, like sledding hill. Ruby Hill has like a crazy history, by the way. Like, I've been learning so much about it. Like, in the 30s, they had like 100 car pile bonfire that they tried to fly a plane and drop a bomb on to burn it, but the bomb missed, so they just had to ignite it and like tens of thousands of people came to watch these cars burn at Ruby Hill. It's an insane place. It has like an insane history there.
Yeah.
But so the snowboard park is on this hill, and they don't have any earthworks there because it's all like rails in the snow. They can't really build jumps for some reason. The city, it's like a city run park. It's not like it's like public park. It's the city, the Parks and Rec does it. Winter Park, which is a resort, helps with some stuff. But so they have certain rules. They don't really build jumps. And once the snow melts, it's just like a grassy hill, but it's good for like teaching people how to mountain board.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that is where the bike park is. So if you stand on top of the snowboard park, behind you is the bike park. It's like goes down a hill, and then you see the bike park.
Is that bike park? Is that the stuff that we've seen recent footage of you with your man Johnny Snipes on the FPV?
That was in Moab.
Okay,
that was in Utah.
That recent, the recent one. But
yeah,
you have done a Ruby Hill bike park video with him. You did I'm sure you did a bike park, trail park. Was that not? Yeah,
we filmed Ruby Hill for sure. We filmed there. I filmed on like the BMX kind of jumps that were like, we've definitely been there, and that's like the closest one to me. That's like 10 minutes away. So,
oh, nice.
And it's a cool park. There's like an amphitheater there, or a stage, so they do shows and stuff.
Johnny has messaged me that he was going to send in a question for you, but he forgot. So I'm going to give you a question on his behalf.
Okay.
Who's the best drone pilot you've ever worked with?
That's tough. I don't know. I mean, I think Johnny's the only one, really. So, but he's really good at it. He's like, he picked it up pretty quickly. He said at the beginning he wasn't. He thought about just giving it up because it's really hard to fly, I guess. I've never tried it. But he said most people, like even in a simulator, can't keep the drone in the air. And I guess that's how he felt. And he was like, man, I don't know if I can do this. But then he kept trying. Like he goes out and films whatever all the time. And we met because of mountain boarding. Like he saw it. I mean, as far as like, you want to talk about like a snowboarder getting into, like he snowboarded and he saw mountain boarding videos on the internet, and he messaged me and was like, hey, I just bought a board. Do you want to like hang out and ride? I was like, sure. So, and then he got into FPV stuff, and he's done really well with it. Like, it seems like he's getting a lot more opportunities with that, and he's really good at it. So
I've got to say, I'm so glad that you two have found each other, because the footage that you guys have created over the last year or so has just been phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
It's been fun. It the first one we really did was that Golden Bike Park. It was like that long line, and that went dummy. That went crazy. I couldn't believe the response from that. We were both like, man, this is pretty cool. I don't know. I hope people like it. And I've never gotten a response like that on the internet. I couldn't believe it,
Yeah. Oh no, it's definitely, they all blow me away. And even your most recent Moab one, they're all so enjoyable. They're all so enjoyable. Yeah. It's nice to, there are a couple of good drone pilots out and about at the moment in the UK. You've got Jack Johnston, and also worthy of note, Andy Dumelow. The pair of them are both quite skilled drivers, pilots, whatever you want to call them. And I hope that Johnny and them guys continue to film our sport, because it's only going to help.
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny,
a massively new perspective to it, like the way you're watching it, and the way you can like watch the trick go down. Like you can stop, watch it again. Like it's a different way of watching it. It's like,
yeah. I mean, it's hard to do follow cams in mountain boarding a lot of times, especially like the stuff we ride. So it's cool to show a whole line that I'm like, otherwise there's just no way to show this.
Yeah.
And but Johnny is like, I mean, he mountain boards and he likes it, and he goes out and he'll just ride. I mean, sometimes we just ride, So I feel like he's always down to show it, and a lot of those videos do well for him. Like GoPro commented on some from recently, or GoPro has like sent him like prototype cameras.
Oh, cracking.
So like I think he's hyped on it, especially like that first Golden one. That was like crazy views, and he's like so stoked on it. And it's hard to film drone stuff snowboarding, because like a lot of, I mean, resorts, you get like big fines for it. I think you might go to jail or something. I don't know. It's like really sketchy to film at a resort.
Yeah.
So he's tried that and it's just not worked. So we've had to like film snowboarding stuff other ways, like, you know, in the streets, I guess, or at Ruby or like at Loveland Pass. So it's exciting. I think he likes it because it's, you know, to film a board sport with a drone is rad. And like, I don't know, going to Moab was sick. Like, and Moab was real. That was my first time ever there. And that place is like unbelievable.
Well, I was going to say, so you live in Denver, Colorado, and Moab's in Colorado, but I'm assuming probably how many hours worth of driving is Moab?
It's like 5 or 6 hours away. I've driven past it a few times, like driving to Salt Lake City. And I just haven't had time, or just, you know, I don't know. I haven't been able to get out there. But so I ride for this water bottle company or water filter company, and they did a trip there. And I told Johnny about it, and he was super down. So we went out there together, and that's like why we went to Moab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame because I think there was quite a crew hit up Moab a week or two before. Well, I say a week or two before. I don't know when you hit it because you never know when the footage is from as such.
Yeah, no, I think it was like a week. It might have been a week before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we were both just like busy, and then when that trip, I was like, okay, now we're going next week. Like, you know. So
I don't want to go with you guys anyway.
No, I mean, I would have loved to, because I didn't like know where to go. Those places where they ride are really hard to find, and it's kind of hard to know what to ride. It really, like, I felt a little overwhelmed, you know, because I was like, man, I don't, and I think it takes a while to get used to like jumping off things and riding fast there, because it's sick. It's really awesome, but it's pretty tough to ride, especially if you have no guide. So, like that Bartlett Wash place, and Toilet Bowl and all that stuff. No one I've ever talked to that's been to Moab knows where that is. They have no clue. Like, people, it's really out there. We like almost fucked up Johnny's car trying to get there, because we were like, if you follow the pin on the MBS website, it takes you to the wrong place, first of all. and you will drive down stuff that you shouldn't drive down. And you might die. I don't know, because there's like no cell service.
Right.
Like, it's super sketchy. So, but once we found it, we're like, oh, this is sick. But we just didn't have a lot of time once we found it, because we had to leave. So, you know, I was hyped to go out there. I was hyped to like try to show people stuff from there, but man, I would have loved to have a bunch more people, but it just didn't work out.
One day, if I get over to the States, I'll give you a shout, AJ, and you can come and show me where you found it.
Absolutely, dude. Even if you just go to Moab to be there, like it's so insane. It's kind of a pot in that area, like a little bit north of it, a little bit south of it is really different looking terrain. Like, that stuff is crazy. It's so cool just to see it, you know.
I think the Rough Riders and the old MVM videos, when you'd see that on screen, has been etched into my memory since, you know, first picking up a mountain board. So so to me, it's kind of like a Mecca trip, if you will.
Yeah, same, dude. I mean, that's like, I was been one to get out there for a long time, and just, I don't know, I just didn't have the time or the resources, but I lucked out, man. Sponsored trip, made some money out there, like, you know, whatever. And so it just worked out, and I had a good time. But Johnny and I saw an alien as well. So there's a lot of alien activity out there. So if you want to get abducted and anally probed, perfect place for that, you know.
I'm there.
Yeah, so it's a cool place. Utah sucks as like their politics is awful, although you can't have as many wives as you want, so like that's pretty cool.
Is that true?
Utah. It's called the Mormon advantage. You can just have 5, 10, whoever, how many wives you want. So
it sounds like hard work though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Could you imagine if I could only put up with the beef that one wife gives me?
Yeah. Well, if you have 7 wives and they get 1 day a week, then the next day you don't have to, and then next week, like, hey, we only have a day together.
You need 7
so they have that part figured out. They have Utah, but otherwise, like a lot of their politics is crazy there. Insane. But it's a really beautiful state. It's awesome. I like it there. So most of the West is like Utah and New Mexico and Colorado and Wyoming, Montana. All those places are insane. Yeah.
I'm going to go back to a couple of questions here for you, AJ. I'm going to try and, because we're smashing through the time here.
Yeah.
Quick ones here for you. Coming in from Beeran of the BFC. What's your favorite color?
What's my favorite color? Probably red.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Beeran, there you go. Thank you very much. Slightly longer one, this one, but this is a really cool question. I like this one a lot. We talked about video games, and I know we've said that you're not a video gamer, but if there was a AJ Lawson's Pro Mountain Boarder video game, what pros would you have alongside yourself in your own video game, and what boards would you have as the available boards to play?
Man, I've never thought about this at all. Yeah. It's funny. People will tag me in some other, Riders Republic or something like that.
Right.
There's some online game that's like a mountain biking, or maybe it's a bunch of things, but people will be like, oh, they need to add mountain boarding to this, and they'll like tag the company or whatever. A lot of the drone videos will be like that. So maybe someone, or there's some other online game where there was mountain boarding. I don't know. There was like probably someone's done that.
Riders Republic. I mean, I do occasionally game from time to time.
Okay.
And Riders Republic is a game, and it did come out about a year ago, and it features snowboarding, wingsuits, mountain biking, and stuff like that. Yeah. So effectively, you can come down from the snow at the top of the hill, and as the snow thaws, and you can jump onto a bike or and do the bottom part of the hill, and it is pretty cool. And to be fair, they've already got the software there to be able to snowboard. To superimpose a snowboarder on a winter environment,
right?
Probably they just use the same graphics package and put some wheels on it.
Yep.
And put it in the summer section. It'd be there. You wouldn't need to do anything else.
Yeah, just a place like Moab or place. I think I would be more interested in the places. Like if you could do, because that was like Tony Hawk, right? They had Love Park in Philly. They had like Santa Monica. And I would be really cool, because I'm really about that. Like, oh man, this is such a cool place to ride a board and be out. So like, Moab would be a big one. Redo Altagrass or Bugs or somewhere like that in the UK. Like
that would be good.
Yeah. Like the place in Japan those dudes ride with Mount Fuji in the background would be really sick. Yeah. A bunch of places like that. Like I would know. I mean, there's probably a ton of people, but maybe some of them don't really ride anymore. So it'd be kind of like, I don't know. And as far as boards go, I mean, I don't know. Oh, Cleve Hill would be a good spot for the video game. Like that place. Yeah. Like, cause Jack, like him flying there, like I love seeing that. I love showing people that. Like people commented, they're just like, this is insane. Like this is so cool. It really makes sense when you see it at a place like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. As far as like, I mean, there's, like I said, there's a ton of really good. Oh, the other place in Wales, Green Mile or whatever.
The Green Man.
Green Man. That was a good track.
Dude, I only got to ride there really like one day, but it was like the best day. Like I was like, this is so good here. It's so insane. I love this place.
Oh, it was fast as fuck, that place.
Yep.
That
place is awesome. Yep. You would just go, but it would be smooth. Like you would take off and land so smooth. Everything was smooth, you know? So that would be really, I'm more into those places than other people. Cause I don't know. There's like a handful of people, but
it's going to be the same names over and over, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be like, you know, the same people that probably everyone talked about, and boards again. It's like, I don't know, really.
I don't. There's not exactly the rich quiver of mountain boards that there is of snowboards or skate deck designs, is there?
Yeah, it'd be cool to do that older game where they had like Panda Man and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Snowboarding.
Oh, Panda Man. Well, like
they had like
SSX, was that? I don't know.
I don't think it was that one. 1080 maybe.
Right.
And they had like special characters like that. You know, like, or like superheroes or whatever. Like that's probably like, if you want to market it, you know, that's probably it'd be more marketable to like make up some crazy people like that.
Yes, well, that's the way, certainly way a lot of the snowboard things do, doesn't it? Put some really big long dreadlocks on and some neon clothing.
Exactly.
And get the girls wearing belly tops and flares.
Exactly. Yep. That's what. Now we're talking.
What
girls
we
in
need,
bikinis and like Sasquatch.
Just slugs.
I'm thinking now, like virtual reality of all the old border cross tracks that don't exist anymore, and all these famous places that everyone's rode, like so you could ride all around the world.
Yeah,
that would be good.
That'd be cool. Or places like no one's ridden. I don't know, some famous place in the world that would look cool. Yeah, stuff like that. I think that would be sick. You know, I think that's what like again.
Like the Great Wall of China or something.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Like that place in Jordan, Petra or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like that'd be sick. But yeah, the Great Wall, like something like that.
Yeah, you're cool. Selling fucking gaming to me now.
I mean, I guess if you relate it, right? If it's like I'm never gonna go here, or it's gonna be really impossible to go here, and you could like do that, and it was something you're really interested in. That's probably why Tony Hawk people were so into that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be down to work on something like that, but I hope I wouldn't be encouraging people to just do that than like if it's like a nice day out and they could go out and do it themselves and be outside. Like, I hope they're not like, well, I'll just play video games all day. It's like, I don't know, man. Like,
yeah, get out and fucking ride, you lazy ass.
Yeah, just like go do something outside. Like the world is a cool place, you know? So yeah.
I'm going to bang straight on to the next one here. I think you've answered that one pretty good for us there.
Yeah, or didn't answer it, but whatever.
Well, didn't. To be honest, we're not sticklers for you having to answer anything. AJ.
All right.
It's not. We're not that kind of show, my man.
Mm-hmm. Sick.
So this one comes in, and I'm going to absolutely murder it in pronunciation. Christo van Grunen, and he has said, I should have asked this earlier actually, do you still go session the trailer park at Ted Ledoux's place? And when are you coming to ride with them in South Africa? Thanks, guys, and keep it dirty. So I think we've already answered some of those bits. Mm-hmm. That South Africa trip might be good for the computer game. I'm sure.
There we go, dude. South Africa looks sick. I would love to go there. You know, maybe we get a bigger travel budget, or any travel budget.
Any travel budget would do, yeah.
You know. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go to. I've never been to anywhere in Africa, so it'd be cool to go there for sure. You know, if that ever came up, that'd be awesome. I haven't been to Ted's place in a really long time. Probably, what year was it? 2007, maybe. You know, but it was good. Like I got to do a couple trips there. It's in Atlanta. I don't know if he still lives there. I don't know what the deal is with that place.
Yeah, I've spoken to him more recently than I bloody ever have done actually.
Okay.
Since Don Baker's episode, really, because we talked about him a little bit on that. and I reached out and said, I do really want to get him. It'd be nice to get both him, Ted, and it's gone. What was his hillbilly partner?
Oh, Brian.
Brian Southard. Yeah.
Yeah,
It'd be
Brian.
nice to
I
get
haven't
them
talked to
both to
him.
do like a little episode together.
Yeah.
Brian,
I haven't talked to Brian in a long time. Brian, so I don't know if you guys know much about Atlanta, Georgia, but like it's a big place for strip clubs. Like strip clubs are kind of a part of the culture.
right?
And it's so much so that like any big rap song that you hear on the radio, like will start in the strip club. So like the Migos, Gucci Mane, any 2 Chainz, like big Atlanta rappers will like if their songs are popular in the strip clubs, like you'll hear them eventually in the country, and so they always try to sneak me into the strip clubs there, like some of the bigger ones, because I was like underage.
Yeah.
And Brian tried to like get me to wear his clothes. He's like, nah, man, because like what happened is I've already been in there. They're gonna recognize the clothes. They won't even look at your face or anything. And I'm like 17 or 18. I'm probably 17 at the end. Like, I'm like, I don't think it's gonna work, man. I just don't, like, I'm too young. But I had a fake ID from someone that we went with. Like, it was his fake ID, but he was old enough at that point. And he went in, or I went in first and he went in later. We went to the Claremont Lounge, which is like not a nice strip club. It's like really gnarly girls, like big, older, like 60 years old or really fat or whatever. And this one chick is like shaking her ass in front of me, and I'm sitting next to Brian, and she smacks her ass and she's like, "You ever fuck anything like this?" And I was like, "I can't say that I have." And Brian's like, "Oh, I have."
Oh, brilliant.
And like I was like, the other thing, there was this chick, she was this black chick with long blonde hair, and she would crush beer cans with her tits at the Claremont Lounge. Like, it was that kind of place. It was like a lot of women would go there just to watch,
Yeah.
So Atlanta was fun, man. Atlanta always a good time. I always had a great time there.
So let me write this down. Utah for wives.
Yeah. If you want to get as many wives, and they are more subservient in Utah. I don't think they're allowed by law to talk back to you. So.
And strippers in Atlanta.
Strippers in Atlanta, right?
But they will definitely talk back to you.
They'll give you some attitude for sure. Yeah. But so I went down there a couple times and rode the park, and like he would throw big events. Like they filmed a horror movie there once, and I have an IMDb credit from that place for being for playing a zombie.
Nice.
Like a mountboarding zombie. I've never seen the movie. I've tried to find it, but I can't find it. But like we zombie, and then we'd like hit the ramps and stuff. So that place was sick. It was really, really sick, and those dudes were awesome. And I don't know, it just, he got older, maybe people stopped coming as much, and
yeah.
I don't think,
like I say, he's still down there. At the trailer park's still there.
At the Claremont.
Claremont Lounge. Dude, it's legendary, dude. It's legendary. Like I've heard rappers talk about it in interviews, It's a legendary place. Magic City, that's a big one in Atlanta. There's a couple other big ones that rappers always talk about. But yeah, I haven't been there in a long time. It'd be cool to go back. It'd be cool to go to Atlanta and hang out or whatever, or hang out with them or ride there. I don't know. Yeah.
Next one, James Wanklin. Best event and why?
Best event. Oh man, I'm trying to think. Like best mountainboarding event. I don't know. Like I don't. Like there's definitely things that stand out about them, but nothing that like that I can think of that was like the coolest. There was some in Russia. There were some like demos we did in Russia that were pretty crazy.
Yeah.
those are probably like the craziest or the best ones. Like the last one I did was in this big stadium with like all these other sports. You know, there was like a motocross, but there was also like trampoline basketball and like parkour and just like whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And DJ Lethal from Limp Bizkit. Yeah, and House of Pain. Right? He was in House of Pain too.
Yeah.
He was DJing. We were like on the same flight there. And
Breakthrough. Was it
probably
Break?
Maybe it was. I can't remember what it was.
Tasha
called.
might have been talking about it.
Yeah, he was there, and Tom Kirkman was there as well. That was like Nitro Circus kind of setup or whatever. That was just like this big stadium, a lot of people. I didn't even know what I was getting into. I hadn't ridden before that event for a long time either. It was like a big break, and then I got it. I'm like, sure, I'll go there and do that. That sounds awesome. But it was just crazy. It was just like a wild show that I'll never forget. And I got to meet DJ Lethal, and I was wearing this like American flag bandana. And he was like, "What's up, man? Like, where you from?" And we started talking. He's like, "I live in LA. I produce music." I'm like, he's like, "Yeah, like I know your stuff, dude. I know who Limp is." Like, and he was like, "Yo, can I take a photo with you?" And that was like pretty crazy because I just
So the more what you would think of the more famous person is asking you for the selfie. Not
yeah, it was weird. I was like, sure, like, can I take a photo with you? Like, I think he was just like, oh, you're here, you're American.
Yeah.
Whatever. It was just in the moment. There was whatever photographer there. So that was like really cool. I'll never have an experience like that again, I'm sure. So that was a cool event. I don't know. I'm not like a super competitive person, I don't think. So a lot of the contests for me were like, they were cool, but I would have rather done something else too, you know? Like it was more for me to be there and have the experience, but I also was like, oh, I'd rather have something else from this and not necessarily like be competing, you know? So I don't think I look back a lot of times as like, oh, I had like the best time competing or something like that. You know, it was more of like being there was cool and riding, but you know, I have memories of other things.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then Jolly Tom Reese has asked a double question. Where do you get your stees from? I think we've got that from earlier on. You know, when we talked about your creative ways of looking at things. But his second part of the question is, what are your feelings on the electric revolution?
I don't know how to answer the stees one. I don't know. I just go out and try to do what I do, and I'm intentional about some things. You know, I want to look a certain way, so I'll try really hard to like get it to a point where I'm like, okay, I want to present this the best way I can, right? So just like working hard to like be aware of how things look, I guess, is my best answer. And then the electric thing, you know, I'm not immediately like drawn to it. Like I'm not, same with a bike, you know, I'm not like, oh, I wish I had a motor on this. And people have always said that with mountain boarding, like, dude, it'd be cool to have a motor on that. I'm like, I don't really want one, right? And but when I was in Moab, I was like, I could see the potential for this a lot, especially here, to be able to cover ground, because a lot of people ride motocross there, you know, and be be able to go uphill, be able to have some braking, right? Because they have brakes.
Yeah.
And be able to travel long distances, because it is a little hard to like slide around on that rock. You can carve it, it'll grip, but it's almost like too grippy.
Right.
So it's really hard to control speed otherwise. So I was like, man, like a place like the Slick Rock or Bartlett Wash with an electric board would be really cool, really interesting. And I bet you could go out and do a lot more. So I see the potential. I've never ridden one. so I don't know what it feels like. They look kind of heavy to me.
They certainly are that, my friend.
Okay, so they're a little heavy. Leaving the ground, I mean, I know people do it, but it probably is a little more difficult. Someone commented and they said that, like, Johnny and I were riding at this place called High Drive, which is just like a dirt road in Colorado Springs. And he was like, "Oh, I have an e-board, but it's not as maneuverable. I can't like slide around. I can't jump around. I can't like, and it's really fun, but it's just different." And he's like, "I kind of want to hop back on a mountain board and be able to ride a little differently." So, and the other thing, Johnny was showing me, do they blow up a lot, or they catch fire or something? Like,
I think anything with batteries has the potential to, doesn't it? I mean, how many of those go up in flame on chargers?
I guess I haven't had a phone do that yet. I haven't had an Android phone. I know those were doing that a lot, but so that's a little scary for me. But I feel like if they were lighter, if the e-boards, the e-mountain boards were lighter, if they didn't add that much weight, because I feel like mountain boards are already kind of heavy.
Yeah.
And I think there could be a ton of potential there. And I would love to like try it out just to like see how it feels and see how you could approach things. I think it's cool. I mean, I think there's a place for e-bikes as well. Like if you just want transportation, like an e-bike would be amazing, because like I'll bike around and it's hard. It's tiring for sure. So being able to cover distance and not being in a car is great. That's why people like those. Do you see a lot of one wheels where you are?
They're gaining in popularity.
I see more on TikTok over your side of the water. They're massive over there, aren't they?
I see one wheels a lot. I would say multiple a day. Yeah, and I get it. I get like why you just stand on it and you just go. And the people that do tricks and stuff too, like I've seen people slide, like do nose slides and shove it and that kind of hit rails. So I can see, with all the electronic stuff, I guess I can see why people are interested, and I do see a lot of potential and space for it for sure. I guess I'm a little more of an analog person in a lot of ways. Like, I mean, I still use fucking phones and laptops, but I've never done a sport really where I've used some kind of engine or something like that. It's always been gravity or like self-propelled.
Interesting. Well, if ever you happen to be in the same place as me and I've got my board, AJ, the remote's yours to go and have a play and take it away. I think there is definitely, I mean, some people do use now smaller battery packs to make the board lighter. The drive systems on the back here they're getting lighter. I mean, the motors, just due to the construction of an electric motor, it is heavy. There's no getting around that. But trying to lighten up the rest of the board is where people seem to be going at the moment. But I'm
kind of interested in if you could do like a Bluetooth just braking system, because a lot of people like, how do you stop? And I'm like, well, you can do a handbrake, you can power slide, that kind of stuff. But I feel like the handbrake, I was trying to teach. There's this summer camp that they do mountain boarding at in Colorado, and I tried to teach their instructors, and they had handbrakes, and I didn't have a brake. I haven't ridden with one for a long time, and it gets in the way a lot. When they were trying to ride, the cable gets in the way. So the idea of something you can hold in your hand that has no cable, that you can brake if you want to, I think that would be really cool if someone wanted that to be able to learn, and also to ride really technical terrain like a Courchevel or some big mountain or single track, right? So it's really not in the way, but you can still slow down easily. I rode at Woodward Park City a couple summers ago, and I was like the first mountain boarder there, and I did a run, and then there was like a thunderstorm, so they had to close the lifts. But I tried to come back, and they were like, you need a brake. You need like a hand brake of some kind. So I feel like even for myself, I'm like, well, I would like to be able to set up a break board so I can go to Woodward again, or I can go other places and ride something more crazy, right? So I'm really interested in that. And you know, like I said, I think there's a huge potential there, and it seems like there's a lot of popularity there as well.
Well, it's gaining. I hope it'll be nice if it can drag a few people away from the computer screens and get them standing sideways.
Dude, that's it. That's like, to me, anything that gets people away from just being sedentary, you know, whatever that is, and getting to enjoy the outdoors. I feel like an e-board is probably pretty low impact on the environment in a lot of ways. So I think that's awesome, you know, so yeah.
Well, listen, dude, I'm out of questions. Slugs, have we got time for a quick 10 set before we wrap it up?
Certainly have. Right. AJ, don't think about it too much. Just throw the answer out.
Okay.
Right. Reg or goof?
Goofy.
Border cross or freestyle?
Oh, freestyle, I guess. Yeah.
Front side or back side?
I like backside.
Flip or spin?
Spin.
Switch or regular?
Switch.
Board slide or lip slide?
These sound inherently sexual in some ways. Like,
I blame skateboarding.
Yeah. You know, like switch and backside and all this, like lip slide. I think board slide.
Favorite trick to do?
Favorite trick, probably full cab.
Favorite trick to watch someone else do?
Oh, I know I'm not supposed to think about these, but this is hard. Probably a sloth roll because I can't do them.
Nice.
Yeah.
UK comp or USA comp?
Neither. I don't. Just ride. Just have fun. I don't know. No contest.
Favorite border?
Favorite border? Favorite mound border?
Yeah.
Favorite mound border. You know that I can't say his name. Emil. I feel like, dude, I think he's really sick. I think his style is really good, and right now he's like one of my favorites to watch for sure. I have a bunch. I mean, I could name a ton of people, but I think right now, like, I'm really excited to see his stuff. So
I like that answer.
Yeah, he's sick. Like, he stands out a lot to me. So it's been cool
he'll
to
be
watch
pretty
him.
made up to hear you say that as well. He's such a nice lad.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Like, I get excited. Like I said, I get excited to watch his stuff, and he just got cool style. And for me, like, that's super important. So
yeah, I like that answer. All right, last one. Dirt or snow?
Oof. That's tough, man. I don't know. I can't choose because, like, I love snowboarding. I've always loved snowboarding, and there's so many cool things you can do on a snowboard, but I do like adventuring and going to new places off-road or on dirt, and there's a different feel to mountain boarding or skating or whatever. And so it'd be really tough to choose between those two, you know?
It was a harsh question.
Yeah, I don't think I could. I think, like, you know, because I've definitely snowboarded year round and in a lot of ways for years, and it was great. But I also miss being able to mountain board, miss being able to go certain places and just ride in, like, the summer and go somewhere unique. So that's why I really love that. But man, I don't think I could choose. People ask me that kind of a lot, or like what I would, you know, what I'm better at or what I'd rather do, and I just couldn't choose. I like being able to the variety and mix things up for sure.
There you go. There's your 10 set, man.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
We've done.
Yeah.
we've
Thank
done
you.
pretty
Sorry.
well.
Hopefully I did it okay. I'm
There's no right or wrong answer, AJ. There's
Yeah,
no
exactly.
points to be had. It's not. Don't worry. It's no competition. No contest here.
Yeah.
Look, we've been banging on for quite a while now. Is there, as a roundup, as an outro, a summary, is there anything that we haven't covered, or anything that you'd like to say? Any shout outs that you want to give, or anything like that?
Man, I don't know. I try to do my best to do it while we were talking, I mountain definitely had a big impact on me. Again, the guy I mentioned in the beginning, Mark Toms, actually died recently, like in the last week or so, from cancer. So without him, I don't think I would have ever found this world. It was something like really small he did, was like helping my mom find parts and then telling her about this event. And I got to see this whole new world that I had no idea about, and I'm sure I wouldn't have found out about. And I don't know if he ever knew how much of an impact that had, because I can look back at that like, okay, this is where I found the rest of mountainboarding, right?
Yeah.
And that was really huge, and that made a huge impact on me. I got to travel, like I got to go on planes, go overseas for the first time. I got to like do things that like a lot of people dream of, and I'm so thankful for. And it was really sad when I heard about him dying. So I don't know, shout out Mark. He was a great dude, really rad dude. And I hope his family's okay, type of thing. And there's a lot of good people like that I've gotten to meet, like Sean Vile, who also died recently. Was the first trip I ever went to California. I met him, met his family, and he was super sick. I think he hooked up with Devin Garland's sister at one point, which was pretty rad. It's pretty funny to think about, like, but yeah, man, he was a cool dude. He really like pushed things, and he was super gnarly. We've lost probably a lot of good people, and it's sad to see that. And
yeah,
they have a big impact, at least in my life, and I know in other people's lives. So I definitely got to mention them. And I guess we didn't talk too much about Devin. Devin is incredible. I feel like maybe not a lot of people know him. Devin's still alive.
How often do you speak to Devin?
We were hanging out. He's been like really busy with like working, and I don't know, we haven't been able to hang out in a while. Like we snowboarded in November. That was the last time I saw him.
Right. Well, on your recommendation here, I mean, obviously I've known Devin for donkey's years, but I have never reached out to him in any way to speak to him so far. On your recommendation, that's going to change, and we'll get him in as a guest, and hopefully.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
It's definitely have admired his riding from many years.
Dude, he's gnarly. He's like, he pushes things, he'll charge at things. He's really good. And I don't know if a lot of people know that, maybe, or he doesn't I don't know, he doesn't like put himself out there that much in that kind of way. Or he has, and he's kind of like, it's hard to keep that going. Like he had like a YouTube channel for a long time that would have a lot of views or whatever. But yeah, he's really sick, and I don't think he's always one to go like to the UK. He's always one to travel, and I don't think he's got an opportunity to do that. And I'm sure there's a lot of stories, because he had a different path than I did. I'm sure he's got a lot of things to tell you, and he could talk to you for a while. But yeah, Devin's sick, man. He's really cool. There's some cool mountainboarders in Colorado, especially that still ride. Like Devin rides, I think, still a lot. So
he certainly seems to be putting out a bit of park riding content over the last year. I'm seeing more and more of it, which is great, absolutely great, because the kid's got style himself and can throw down, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he like really loves mountainboarding too. Like, like I really love it, right? But I do other things as well, right? So during snowboarding season, I rarely mountainboard. It's cold, it's wet. and I just don't have time for it. But he kind of rides all year. He's always thinking about it. He's like way more like into some stuff than going on than I sometimes know, and I feel like I try to follow it pretty closely. So yeah, he's really sick. I wish if like mountain boarding was a bigger sport, I feel like we would see a lot more of him. He would get like more opportunities from wherever. And but it's not, so we don't. But yeah, he's really rad. So
right. He's significantly moved up the list.
Sick. Yeah, I think it'd be rad to talk to him. I'm trying to think. There's a bunch of cool people, there's really a lot of awesome people. And we're really unique. Not a lot of people know about this, but we love it, and we'd be willing to do things where people are like, how can you be so into this? But once you start doing it and meeting people, you're like, oh, this is amazing. So
that's it. Yeah. It is an exceptional community that mountain boarding has around the world. That everyone seems super friendly, and I've never met a mountain boarder that I've not got on with. So
yeah,
that speaks volume for the community.
Yeah. It's awesome. So
listen, dude, if I'm thinking that's going to be us tied up for tonight's episode, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, that's cool. Shout out Epic Water Filters as well.
Get them
trying
on.
to renew my contract, so let me
remind me, and I'll put a link in the YouTube video as well.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Fulfill your obligations as as whatever you are, a sponsored water filter drinker.
Sure.
Or an ambassador. That's what you are, an ambassador. Would that
be? I think they think of athlete, but yeah, ambassador is like, that's the phrase now, right? Yeah. But I'm like, to them, I'm an athlete. I'm there, which I guess I am, but whatever. Yeah. But
cool. Well, dude,
man.
Look, please keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on putting that content out, because it stokes the shit out of the community. Everybody loves it. Everybody's been super excited to know that you're coming on here and doing this, and hopefully it'll be hopefully at some point again in the future, if we could keep going with the dirt in the long term and do things, we'll get people come back on, and it'll be less of a hi, how are you, what's your name and where'd you come from. We can start chatting some shit about actual stuff that's relevant in the moment as such.
I
want to thank you as well. I've been looking forward to this one, really looking forward to it.
I want to thank you guys. This was fun, man. I could talk for a long time. It's rare that I get to talk about stuff like this, honestly. So this was really awesome for me. I appreciate you having me on, and again, I love what you're doing, because no one else is doing it, and it's cool to hear from people. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's called. It's just something for the community. What is it? Phelps famously said that skateboarding owes you. Skateboarding owes you nothing. Skateboarding owes you will bites in the rain.
Yeah,
and I feel a bit like that with mountain boarding. I owe mountain boarding, and this is just one way that I can help pay that back to mountain boarding.
Yeah.
So keep doing it. We'll keep doing it if everyone keeps listening and enjoying it.
Hell yeah.
Guys, thank you very much. It's been AJ Lawson on the dirt.
Way aye, man. That was dead canny as out, that like. Cheers for tuning out to listen. Now, before you gan yem, don't forget, if you want to keep getting doing with the dirty fun, like and subscribe. Get amongst it. Shy Ben's getting out.